Broadcasting live on the Double Wide Network. It's time for The Real Deal. Join the Ambassador and Danny Q as they put together great guests and honest commentary on a range of issues. But one of their main topics will be preserving Native American tributes in sports team nicknames. These two are also avid fans of music and the arts, and they'll always make time for a great song or two. Now, it's time for The Real Deal. And here are your hosts, the Ambassador and Danny Q.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to The Real Deal on the Star Worldwide Networks in the Camelback Towers in beautiful downtown Scottsdale, Arizona. We took a month hiatus because of the loss of my wife. We got through that, and it's time to move on, and I'm back, and nobody's going to stop us. As long as we can try to get some sponsors, we ain't leaving. So I want to thank everybody for being patient with me and letting me just kind of regroup here. But we are back, and we're here to stay. And thank you for all the cards and letters and support for myself, my family, and The Real Deal. Excuse me. I want to say a special shout out and thank you to all the teams, the Kansas City Chiefs, Washington Redskins, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Blackhawks, for listening and honoring Native Americans by using the names. And I'm here with my co-host, Danny Q. Say hi, Danny.
Rock and roll, baby.
That's right. And my nephew, Mark Yellowhorse, is in the studio. Say hi, Mark.
We're back.
We see you've come with an Indian.
How did she find out we were back on the air? That's what I want.
He needs to go home. Oh, man.
And we have the beautiful Jennifer McKay, the avid fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, is in the studio, and she represents all the Chiefs fans here in Scottsdale, and Nick is with her. And then we have the beautiful Whitney Applegate that lives south of here, that's a member of the Gila River Indian community, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to introduce, as I always do, my Navajo brothers and sisters in Navajo. Yat Eshe Dene, Nahadani Ambassador Dennis Yellowhorse in She, Hadish Banana, Akwetsala 505, Akwetsala 50, a Redskin Flagstaff. Thank you for listening. Akehe, Dan Snyder, Gatekeeper, Jen, Halbritter, Klinkbabit, Mai, Jen, Viva Yaqui Nation. And the 505 group, ladies and gentlemen, had a float in the Navajo Fair in Shiprock, New Mexico, and I think it was last Saturday because they sent me pictures, and it was so cool.
We'll get those up on our Facebook.
Yeah, those look really awesome. I like those.
Did you see those?
They had the logo from Naga. They had the logo from
The Real Deal.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I mean, they had this big-ass logo on the side of the float that said The Real Deal.
and no one was shouting at them on the side of the street. They were, all in support, clapping, and waving them on.
That's why this is a scam, ladies and gentlemen, because these name changers are all about them, and they go to pick on these schools, and we got a really good lineup tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're
going back to Cali.
Yeah, we're going back to California in a big way, and we're going to have some really important guests on because they're trying to change the names of all the schools in California that are named Chiefs, Braves, Warriors, all of them. And Hal Britter was out there paying them off, and we got the video of it. He's paying them off, and we're calling them all out. And we're going to be announcing later in the show the governor's private number, so you can call the office and tell them how you feel about AB 30. AB 30.
That's Assembly Bill 30 in the California legislature. Right now it's on Governor Jerry Brown's desk, awaiting his signature.
Correct.
And they're going to outlaw Redskins, which affects 4 schools there: Tulare, Gustine, Caballeras, and what's the other one? Chowchilla. Our friends in Chowchilla.
Right. So they're being picked on, and these people are proud residents and alumni of these schools, and you're going to be hearing them here in a few minutes.
And not only that, the surrounding tribes support these
and
schools.
And the surrounding tribes support the schools. And I spoke to them. I spoke to the Tule River tribe.
The bill's a completely unfunded mandate. It'll leave these cash-strapped California schools up the alley for the cost of changing, all their gear, the floors in their gyms, all the images all over the school. I mean, it's a complete ethnic cleansing. It's a wipeout of native.
It's social genocide, as we said all along, and it's a violation of free speech. Really, it really is.
I didn't even know how the schools are going to even do that when they can't even pay these teachers. They're
we were just talking about how California is the number one state right now for teachers leaving the job.
That's incredible. I did not know that till
Arizona's number 3 or something.
Yeah, that's sad.
And that is sad because I as I said earlier out in the lobby, I have a lot of friends who are teachers and principals, and I always mention that if we're going to pay people, we need to increase the pay of teachers, because without them teaching our children in a professional way and bringing in the high caliber educational teachers that our children required is just asinine to me. I don't get it, but that's California is broke. I mean, they're upside down and they got all sorts of problems over there. And then here comes Halbritter with a bag of money, and paying them off a congressman or whatever he is, an assemblyman.
His name is Assemblyman Luis Alejo. Right. And I'm sure he took plenty of bribes. He sat there right next to Halbritter, courted him to the assembly.
Right.
His wife is running for his seat next term because he's got term limits, and he's going to probably be running for another office because he's just a professional scumbag politician.
Right.
And he's getting money from Halbritter, and his wife is probably getting money from Halbritter.
Oh, I'm sure these guys are.
Halbritter doesn't stand next to people who he hasn't bought.
Right, that's right. He buys them and sells them, and he's a billionaire. We're not billionaires, so consider sponsoring us, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show, how you can keep us on the air. So I think with that being said, since we got 4 important guests on tonight, we want to get to the first one and give her some time, and then we'll be getting to the next one.
Let me give just a special shout-out to our longtime friends, Lancaster.
Oh, absolutely. Lancaster.
Our friends from Conrad and Wilmington. Friends from Neshaminy.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. I thought about that, and I thought I want to thank all of them, because without them, we wouldn't be here, and we've been here for them. And so we got people now in California. We got them from coast to coast.
East to the west.
Yeah, our fans are coast to coast. Our listeners are coast to coast, north and south. We even have some international people that listen to our show, and it's just getting viral. It's getting bigger. It's getting better. And I forgot to mention my producer here tonight is Kyle Pratt.
Yeah. How's it going, guys? Welcome back.
Good. Thank you. And just tell our audience before we go to the first guest, this Starwide Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is the fastest growing internet radio station in the country. Mm-hmm. And the number one show at Star Worldwide, tell them what it is.
Real deal.
It's the real deal. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hey, we got to move. Sit down, please.
Yeah, we'll sit down back there.
That name changer was just clapping for us. Right?
Okay, let's go to our first guest. Dan, if you'd be so kind to do the introduction.
Our first guest is the principal at Tulare Union High School in Tulare, California. She's also an enrolled member of Ottawa.
Ottawa, yes.
So her name is Michelle Nunley. Principal Nunley, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing good. Thank you.
I just want to say I saw you.
Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Oh, we're happy to have you. We're honored. And I saw you, speaking to the California Assembly on June 17th there with Halbritter. And I got to say, those two are not very good speakers, Luis Alejo, the Assemblyman, and Halbritter. And then you come in there and, you're very smooth, well-spoken, thought out. you're an enrolled member of which Ottawa band?
I am an enrolled member. I'm an Ottawa tribal member, and we're based out of Miami, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Well, I looked at you and I studied you real hard, and I could see your brown eyes, and I said, "Yep, she's
she's legit."
The high stones, right? All the defining characteristics.
Yeah, she's the real deal.
So you're a native, and they're claiming that this Redskins name is a racial slur. How does that fly with you? What's your view on it?
I don't see that side of the argument, having been Native American my whole life and been a part of Tulare Union and being a Redskin for a big part of that. It's hard to understand that. I see what we do at Tulare Union, and every way in which a Redskin is portrayed is classy. It's pride. It's hard work. It's everything you'd want. It's everything as a Native American that I'm proud that students and staff and community members are portraying a Redskin to be.
Now, you're right near the Tule River tribe, right?
The Tule River tribe is very close to us. They're located right outside of Porterville, and we have been in contact with them. Actually, just this past spring, and it's been an ongoing communication, but this past spring we invited some members to come to Tulare Union for a couple of reasons. One is we wanted to be able to have some open dialogue about being Redskins, what it means to us, get their feedback on it to find out if they were offended by it in any way, and then also to learn from them too, because the more we can learn from the Native American culture, I think the better understanding we have of what it means to be a Redskin.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I found really revealing in that I listened to that whole clip you sent me of your testimony, Halbritter, Alejo, the crybaby guy that said his feelings were hurt, the psychologist who really didn't have anything to say. One of the revealing things that I picked up out of that whole thing, and I want you to confirm this to our audience, is that one of the assembly women asked him, he says, there's several years ago, there was a bill that tried to go through, and Governor Schwarzenegger vetoed it, and it was for all the names. And is this a strategic move on your behalf, Mr. Alejo, that you're just targeting the Redskins? And he said, yes. And then he said, but we're going after all of them. Didn't he say that?
He did. He said, this is a starting point.
That's right.
Exactly
so
this is where we're going to start.
Right, and this is the start. So you need to listen up, Golden State Warriors. And I know you're listening, and you're up there in California. And there's a school right down the street from Gustine, and the guest is going to be on, and she'll tell you that they're coming after that school, and it happens to be named the Warriors. So for you guys to just sit on your rear ends and figure, hell, we're cool. Nobody's going to bother us. You better think again. I don't think
anything is protected at this point.
Right, that's exactly right.
That's horrible.
But anyway, Tulare is a beautiful town. I've been there several times, and I'm going to come see with you, and I'm going to take you up on your offer and stay with you and your family. And,
that would be great.
Yeah, and I'll be running solo, but I've been up there several times. As I told you, I've been to the Indian Farm Show with my humate. Anything else you want to add, Dan? Or
no, I would just, we've seen these schools just crumble under the pressure that these name changers put on them. What is motivating you to actually stand up for your student body and stand up for your staff and stand up for the tradition of the school that these other schools don't have?
Well, I can personally say I feel very passionately about it, but it's not just me. It's the students, the staff, our entire school, and our supporting community that have rallied around. The Tulare Union opened its doors in 1890, and we have been Redskins since the early 1920s. So it is something that is a mainstay in our community. There are generations of people that have been Redskins who understand what it means to be a Redskin and who can't imagine being anything else. It's a long-standing tradition and one that we're proud to be a part of.
And how's your school board dealing with this? Are they supportive of keeping the name as well?
They are. They've been very supportive. They have been involved with a resolution more than once where we have sent that also to the government. Our community, our city council has also adopted a similar resolution, all supporting Tulare Union keeping the Redskin name. So it's nice to know that those around us are supportive, just like the Tule Indian Reservation. They wrote us a letter of support saying that the name is not offensive.
Right.
They think it's time to move on. We've been talking about this for quite some time. I extended an invitation when we went and spoke to the senators and asked them to come to Tulare Union and to see what it means to be a Redskin, the ways in which Native Americans are depicted on our campus, the way in which students can talk to you about what it means to be a Redskin, staff, community members, nothing but positive.
I spoke to, I took it upon myself to, when I reached out to you the other day, actually, he gave me your name, and he's the Assistant Director of Media, William Garfield. I think he's Willie Garfield.
Yes.
Nice guy.
Willie actually, he took us up on the offer when we invited members of the tribe. We had some Lakota Indians who came, and then also Willie and his family visited from the Tule Indian Reservation and spent the day with us and had fantastic discussion. He learned more about us. We learned from him. It was a great day. And it's opened the lines of communication where we're doing more with the tribe, too. We have some educational pieces that we're involved in, and it's a two-way street, so it's opened up the lines of communication.
Right. That's one of the most positive things we've seen in all this is these towns that we've worked with, getting educated about Native America and vice versa.
And that's what we keep saying on The Real Deal is we're here to educate, not eradicate. And I tell that to lawyers, I tell that to media, I tell that to my listeners here. And I talked to him. He was very nice. I sent him all the information that I sent you. He was kind enough to give me your name. And that's where I reached out to you. I called the school.
Right.
And I hope he's listening to The Real Deal because he'd heard of us, but he didn't know that much about us, but he did not hear that we had a internet radio show. So I just loaded him up and sent him Audrey Bilodeau's book, How the Redskins Got Their Name. And then I told him to listen to the first show, the premiere show, and he'll hear Claudia Tenney, the assemblywoman from New York, who exposes this fake Indian, Ray Payday Halbritter, who's not even an Indian. And did you notice in the speech that he gave, or that he started mumbling some Native American words, which you probably don't even know what the hell it means. And then two, he made it clear he was just a figurehead for Oneida Nation Enterprises. He didn't go out and say, I am a registered enrolled member of the Oneida Indian Nation. You did. You said, I'm an enrolled member of the Ottawa Indian tribe. He didn't say that.
And I'm proud of that, yes.
I know. And if I was there, I would have said something like that. If I was a member of Ottawa or Navajo, my family's Navajos. I'm not a Navajo, but I would have said it. Or I would say I grew up at Navajo, but this guy didn't go down that road because he knows he's a fake, he's a fraud, he's a phony, and he's a total liar and a crook. And that's what he is, and we're coming after him. We ain't stopping. We're coming after him.
And if this bill goes through, you can't just close the school. So, as a principal and as a Native American, what do you see as the consequences of losing this name?
Well, it's going to be very difficult. There's going to be a lot of people that are opposed to changing the name, and depending on what is decided, obviously we'd have to work together with our superintendent and our local school board to take the next steps. But it's not going to go over well. I mean, the community has definitely rallied behind keeping the name. We're proud to be Redskins, and we hope that's not what's decided.
Well, this governor will probably sign it because he's a whacked out guy anyway, but this Governor Brown,
now,
Schwarzenegger was in there, you'd be in good shape. Go ahead, Dan.
How much is the state offering you toward the costs? What are some of the costs, some of the things that you're going to have to change at your school, and what is the state offering you to compensate for those costs? Well,
we took a look at what it would cost to change different items on the campus, what the Redskins' name is, different uniforms, whether it be athletics, band uniforms. And we were looking at about $750,000 just for our school alone.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
There is no part of the bill that allows for monetary concessions where money would be given back to the school. So they've put some timelines in place, but there's no money that's attached to it.
Oh, how do they expect you to do it?
I don't know the specifics. I know that the bill has been revised some to allow for normal wear and tear of things, as those would be replaced and the names would have to be replaced, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep paintings and things on buildings representing being a Redskin if you're told that can't be your name.
That's incredible. That's a total violation of the First Amendment.
Now you're saying this is going to cost $250,000. California schools.
No, she said $750,000.
$750,000.
Yeah, we have
now California schools are super rich, though, right?
I wish. We do the best we can with what we have, and we do a darn good job of it.
Okay, we got 4 guests on tonight. You're the first one. So with that being said, we're going to have you back on, Michelle, but we're going to have to go to Pete. Okay. So thank you. Thank you for coming. Go ahead.
Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely, and I'll see you in Tulare as soon as possible. Good. And then I want to go over to Gustine and see Sherry and the mayor and everybody else, and so I'm going to be traveling a lot now.
Well, we look forward to hosting you.
Yes, absolutely, and don't give up the fight, because we ain't through with the governor of California by a damn sight. And I'm not going to share what we're doing, but you know, and it's
and we appreciate your support.
Absolutely, and it's moving down the track, and so we're not going to stop. We're here to help. We're not here to hurt, but we're here to stand up for people. And I grew up on the Navajo reservation, and I love the Navajo people. I love Native American people, and in general, and they're being railroaded. Everybody's railroading them, and and we're in social and cultural genocide. And you got people like Halbritter that's out there doing it for his own personal gain, and he's saying, I know what's good for you. I know what's good for you. I know what's good for you Indians. And this Redskins name and this Chiefs name and these Warriors, Blackhawks, and all of them aren't good. And Cleveland Indians and and all of them, Atlanta Braves, they're not good.
And yeah, we keep hearing over and over, they don't speak for me.
Yeah.
That's not a coordinated response, but that's what we hear over and over again from the people that we talk to, literally thousands of people that we've talked to on this issue.
So with that being said, thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon, and I'll probably call you tomorrow, okay?
Sounds great. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Okay, bye. Okay, Dan, why don't you introduce our second guest, if you would, please?
Second guest is Tulare County Supervisor Pete Vanderpool. He's a longtime, lifelong resident, basically, of the Central Valley.
Right.
And he's the mayor of Tulare. What can I say?
Okay.
The mayor.
He represents Tulare County District 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Pete, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Good afternoon. Good evening. How's it going?
We're rocking and rolling in Scottsdale, Arizona.
I can tell that some of these Central Valley, California names are a little bit tough to pronounce for you folks in Arizona. So this is Tulare County, California. We're in the Central Valley, and I actually do represent the city of Tulare, and that includes Tulare Union, and that's the high school that I went to when I was in high school, and I am a very proud Redskin.
And you were born and raised in Tulare, no?
Yep, that's correct.
Tulare. Yeah. And Tulare, ladies and gentlemen, is about 60 miles north of Bakersfield?
Yeah, we're actually about right in between Bakersfield and Fresno.
Right. Now, I've been there. I've been to the farm show.
It's like two Larrys.
So tell us in your opinion, bring our listeners up to date what you've been doing and behind the scenes and with Sacramento.
Well, what I've really been trying to do is a little bit more of a behind-the-scenes effort. I think that any effort is worthwhile But I know that in the position that I have and the attention that I can command, just based on a title, it doesn't really mean too much other than the fact that it does open some doors in Sacramento. It's given me an opportunity to arrange meetings in Sacramento with the governor's office to specifically speak with his staff. Now, I have high hopes that it will result in some fruitful changes maybe to the legislation that the governor has in front of him. But I'm not going to be overly optimistic because I know how Sacramento works.
Right,
but,
I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, what I've been trying to do is actually work within the legislation and give a really a no-brainer alternative to what's in front of them, and that is that should a local Indian tribe or local tribes in general support the use of one particular name, that should be allowed. And so I proposed language to them that would suggest that if all Native American tribes that are recognized within a county boundary or within a school district boundary, whichever is larger, if they support the use of a mascot's name, then they are exempt from the legislation as proposed. And to me, I think that's a win-win. It's a win for those who think that the use of the mascot name is slanderous and racist, but it also provides for those who do treat the mascot with tremendous respect and actually maintains the relevancy of the Native American culture in a rural, unincorporated, or a rural location. I think that it should be allowed. And so I had some great meetings with the governor's main education staff, and I don't know that those meetings will reverberate through to the author of the legislation, but the governor hasn't signed it yet, so
I'll tell you
high hope.
I'll tell you one mistake they're making in the legislation is that the legislation says mascot. And as far as I know, do you guys have like a cartoonish guy jumping around on the sidelines of football games?
No, actually.
Exactly. So you have a logo and a name, but there's no mascot.
See, that's what the name changers use this mascot. That's the trick. That's their trick. Is mascot. Yeah. We're not your mascot. We're not your chief. We're not your Indians. We're not your Redskin. Yeah. We're not your mascot. And that's BS. That's total BS. And that's what this idiot Amanda Blackhorse does down here. And they have these fancy signs. But the Kansas City Chiefs do not have a mascot. Well, the Washington Redskins don't have a mascot. The Atlanta Braves don't have a mascot. These teams don't have mascots, including you.
In Tulare, we do have a mascot, but it's not someone in a costume. It's a high school woman who is wearing traditional Native American garb, which is, a long headdress.
Is this a statue or a real person?
It's a person.
Okay, and she's a member of the tribe.
Well, no, she's a member of the student body that is awarded or designated as the mascot. So it's actually a very high honor for a girl in high school to be designated the mascot. They have to demonstrate, all of the skills necessary, and also portray the Redskin name in a very favorable light.
That's the way to do it. That's pretty cool.
That's cool. I mean, there's nothing disrespectful about that.
Absolutely not.
And I bet there's quite a few individuals that actually try for that to try to get elected.
Every year, you really do become the focal point of, they're an ex officio member of the cheerleading squad, but they are also present at nearly every sporting event. And so it draws tremendous attention to
Native Americans.
The cultural aspect of Native Americans. And I think that's what makes it special.
And see, it's good. But you see what the underground movement here is. This is social and cultural genocide. And if they can wipe the imagery out and they can get rid of all these names, in 100 years, Native Americans will just be Americans. And that's the bottom line. And this idiot Halbretter, he names his casino after Frank Baum, that called for the cultural genocide of all Indians. And he wrote The Wizard of Oz. So, I mean, you're talking about some real evil people here. That's who's behind this movement. And I hope you listen to our shows because we are back on the air. We're rocking and rolling now. And well,
I think it's very unfortunate that you have folks in the legislature that aren't even from a community, but they want to come in and tell this community what it can do and what it can't do, what is racist, what is not racist, what is respectful, what is disrespectful. Stay in your own backyard. Don't come to Tulare County and tell us that we're doing things wrong, because I tell you what, I went to Tulare Union for 4 years. I was Associated Student Body President, and all of my family went through Tulare Union, and I've been a part of their traditions for a long time. And I can honestly tell you there has never been a single instance where the Native American culture via the Redskin name has ever been disrespected or treated anything less than fantastic or amazing and something that deserves honor.
Well,
and I think that's a huge point.
And that's the way it is all across the country. That's the way it is in Wilmington, Delaware. That's the way it is in Lancaster, New York. That's the way it is in Neshaminy, Pennsylvania. That's the way it is at the Navajo Nation, 300 miles north of here, where we have the Red Mesa Redskins, and all of our kids are Navajos that go there. So why would we be sending our own children to some school called the Redskins to put them in a bad frame of mind? You know, and it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
And it's just a total facade. It's a scam. It's all about these name changers, and it's really unfair that they're hijacking you. See, they know that you guys are sitting ducks. They try this with Dan Snyder, and he tells them to go to hell. They aren't getting to first base, and he'll fight them all the way to the Supreme Court. And I'll tell you what, if I was a billionaire, I'll bring 10,000 Native Americans with me, or 20. And we will march with him to the Supreme Court.
I've got a question for you. How many schools do you think through this legislation are going to change their name to the Tulare Union Yokut, or the Tulare Union Navajos, or the Tulare Union Native Americans? So what this does is it removes Native Americans and their cultural relevance from all of our minds.
That's what they're up to.
That's the genocide.
That's the genocide.
It's ethnic cleansing, and that's what it is.
And I got to tell you, you're really talking about the most vulnerable of minds in the youth of our communities throughout the country, not just here in Tulare County, that are given the opportunity to learn about a culture, to learn about a history that otherwise may be forgotten, and maybe that is the goal.
It is the goal. It is the goal. They don't want
a guy like Ray Halbritter does what he does, and you can read. I'll send you the links to all the stuff we've exposed about it. But he does it in the shadows, and there's a lot of people like him in Indian country that are waiting for him to be successful at this, taking Native Americans out of the mainstream, because then they can really subjugate them. And they have a lot of, white people behind them that don't like anything that's not white. And it's completely ethnic cleansing at its most, definitive sense. So,
and the United States is a very diverse country. It really is. And here we're actually in the month of October. This is Hispanic American Cultural Month. We have African American Cultural Month. We have we pay tribute to so many cultures in our society. Why should we not pay tribute to Native Americans?
Absolutely.
Through the use of school names and maintain their relevancy in our culture and our society as Americans.
I would like to see it nationally, because we have National or Indian Day down on the Gila Reservation.
And
down
then we
here.
have Navajo Code Talker Day.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But no, there should be.
Those are not recognized throughout the country.
People have mentioned that to me. They said, Ambassador, how come we don't have Native American Month? And that's something we should push for. But, oh, no, Halbritter don't want that. No.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I know you got to run. I want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity, and anything I can do to help preserve the cultural tribute that we pay here in Tulare, I will certainly do that.
Well, we're going to meet up because I'm going to come to Tulare here soon.
Yeah.
And we'll have dinner or something, but we're going to stay in contact. You have my phone numbers, I have your phone numbers and emails, and we're just going to keep rocking and rolling. But
well, I certainly want you to see exactly how the mascot and the name is portrayed.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to meet everybody.
I think it is unique and it's different than.
Well, you know what? When you look at
the author of the legislation,
sure, and it's the same thing up in Wilmington, Delaware. They have these proud logos in Neshaminy and Lancaster. These beautiful logos of a chief's with a headdress, of a redskin chief with his headdress, and they're so proud of that, you know. And for somebody to try to take it away from them, and they can't do anything about it, that's BS. I'm going to fight back as long as I can stay on the air. I'm going to fight back. I can't allow it to happen, you know. And that's why this is the number one show in the country.
Yeah,
you know, this has just gone too far, but it's to the point now where it's in California. That's a clear violation of free speech. Mm-hmm. It's a clear violation of free speech, and it's just a matter of time. But anyway, we'll let you go, and we'll talk to you soon. I'll probably call you tomorrow. Okay, Pete?
Have a great evening. I look forward to meeting you.
Hey, Pete, one second. You know what?
Sure.
You need to tell the governor, give me a personal call. I want to give him my 2 cents about all this.
Okay. I will.
Okay.
All right, tell him the beast is waiting.
Unleash the beast.
As soon as I get his cell phone number and I can just call him, I'll do that.
Give him my drag number. I'll be waiting.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right. Have a nice evening. Thanks.
Okay. We're going to go to take a little break here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to the second half. But do you know what the problem with you name changers is?
You can't handle the truth.
That's right. And it's time to start me up. All right. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Rolling Stones' Start Me Up, and that was Cabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro. It was supposedly the largest concert in the world, 1.5 million people. So that had to be a rocker. And my beautiful friend Lisa Fisher was singing there with Mick Jagger, and my dear friend who passed away last year, Bobby Keys, was playing the saxophone. So he just had to start me up, and I never stopped. But anyway, we're going to get back on the half here. Dan, why don't you? Is our next guest in the queue?
I just wanted to say how great Mr. Vanderpool was.
Oh, he was wonderful.
Yeah, he was awesome. I like the guy.
Yeah. But I'm going to meet him in person. I talked to him several times. He's a nice guy, very well read. And Michelle, she's an enrolled member of Ottawa.
Oh, yeah.
They're both Miami, awesome. I love it. They're cool people, man. And for somebody to come in and say, hey, you had that name for 100 years, it's time to give it up because you don't, it's racist. That's
again, and their opinion matters, but another native's opinion on it doesn't matter. And it's preposterous. But we're going to go with our next guest. She's a lifelong resident of the west side of the Central Valley. She's born in Newman and has lived in Gustine since 1974.
Gustine is in another part of California, far away from Tulare. Not too far, but far away.
They're both in the Central Valley area.
Right.
But she's a manager in the sun-dried tomato industry now for 18 years, and she owns an antique store. And her husband owns a bar that his family purchased back in 1954. She's a graduate of Gustine High School. Her name is...
She's a Redskin.
She's a Redskin. Her name is Sherry Marsigli.
Right.
And she's become quite a friend of ours over the last few days. Sherry, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's so nice to have you on. Thank you for making time for us.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
I just wondered, if you could briefly tell us what a Redskins means to you and to the town and what this whole AB 30 is putting you through.
We have actually we started out, the school's 101 years old. We started out as Reds, and in 1935, the fall of 1935, one student decided that that was associated with communism. So at that point, they changed the name to the Redskins.
Can't get more American than that, though.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Right. So we changed our name to Redskins. We are next to our sister town, actually in another county, but literally 4 miles away, is called the Orostimba Warriors. And they're actually they're about 20 years older than us, but we have been, constant friendly local rivalry all these years. And so it's the Orostimba Warriors and the Gustine Redskins. It has been part of our community. We have a small community of 5,500 people, and everybody who grew up here has been. We're all Redskins. It's part, and literally there were Indians who lived here in the Central Valley as well as up in our foothills. I'm sorry, I do not know the name of the tribe. There are none left here now. Oh. But that's just, it's part of our heritage. It's part of our life. And these kids are so proud of it. We have a beautiful Indian head, a chief head, and we have about a 5-foot tall wooden carving that we have an annual game between Newman and Gustine, and whoever wins the varsity game gets to take the chief home for the year. So
if you go to our Facebook page right now, you can see, all 4 California Redskins schools and see the heads, the logos that they use. It's on that announcement graphic that I made last night.
Okay, I did look at that briefly. That is very nice.
And they're all, there's nothing cartoonish or insulting. There's no, cartoonish features on the people. They look like Native Americans with headdresses on, and they're actually beautiful drawings, all of them, and they all have their own characteristics, different techniques, but there's nothing derogatory or demeaning about them at all.
And that's what I said the other day when I talked to you is you got to know that you don't have a mascot because you don't have some cartoonish figure running around the field out there. And that's what
we do not.
Yeah, and the name changers, that's what they say. Hey, we're not your mascot. We're not your mascot. And that's their excuse to keep this name change movement going, this phony civil rights scam. That's their whole excuse. And you don't have a mascot. Neither does the Kansas City Chiefs or the Washington Redskins or the Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians. So, see, it's just a total fraud. And that's why I hope that we can enlighten you through our radio show and all the information that I've sent to you, that you share it with everybody and tell them to keep listening, because we're nationwide. We're the number one radio show here at Star Worldwide, and it's just going to get better and better.
And that's out of what, 150, 200 shows, Scott?
Yeah,
I think we're roughly around 150 right now.
Yeah, and it's big, and it's going viral, and it's all because of this stuff, because nobody's sticking up for you.
Nobody's sticking up for us.
Yeah, you're just sitting there and getting clobbered. And we're going to stick up and fight. And I told you behind the scenes on the phone, I says, I ain't through by a damn sight, with this halbretter and these phonies. And when they start violating, the free speech and telling, Americans what's good for them and what's not good for them to say, that's a total violation of the First Amendment.
It's very much a battle of language. Like the mascot issue, demonstrates that the most. They use the word mascot because people know that it incites this image of a cartoonish figure.
Right.
You think of the red bird the Cardinals have, and pretty soon that'll be racist. And you think that they have some kind of, guy in a Indian suit or whatever the heck they're trying to get at, and that's just not the case. You have a logo and you have a name. We talked to Larry, who does have a mascot.
Pete.
Yeah, but I mean, they do have a mascot in Tulare.
It's a girl, and it wears a suit.
Yeah, and it's not anything cartoonish. There may be a time down the line where just to satisfy the language, they might have to think about that.
Well, I don't think so, but it's like Dan said at a Chiefs game when he was arguing with this idiot Amanda Blackhorse. He said, what do you got against the name? He says, I've already read what you think about Redskins. Okay, so now this is at a Chiefs game, Kansas City Chiefs, and back in December. He says, well, what do you got against the Chiefs? Are you against the word police chief? Is that racist? And then he says, how about a fire chief? Is that racist to you? Does that offend you? And what about commander-in-chief? Does that offend you? And she got so pissed off, she called the cops and told him, get him out of here, man.
The cops shook my hand and told me to stay right where I'm at. But.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, told him to stick right where he was.
You were in that spot, buddy.
And then he said, he ain't doing nothing wrong. And besides, we want to hear his side of the story. But, the point he made, and I was proud of him, and is when somebody goes over there wearing a headdress or whatever, that day, when they put that headdress on, they're thinking about Native Americans. So when they go to this game and they get that statue that you give to the Warriors over in the next town down the road.
If they win.
But they're thinking about Native Americans. They're thinking about Native Americans. So
our kids call themselves a tribe.
Yeah, and if
we
did
that. I went to Thunderbird Chiefs, man.
And so if you take that away, that's what these name changers want. Get rid of all that. And in 100 years, it's all gone. It's all forgotten. And they're just Native Americans. They're not Native Americans anymore. They're Americans. And that's the bottom line. That's the goal. And you can take that to the bank.
I guarantee you there's high numbers of people in support, but do you see anyone that's, opposing the actual name and they don't want anything to do with it?
I've not had anybody that I know of that's a Native American who has complained here.
See, you won't.
Right there.
You won't.
Not one.
They're always from somewhere else.
Right, they're always from somewhere else.
What's so offensive to me as a Redskin and a parent and a member of this community is that people are using words that cause this reaction, words like racial and discrimination, and they cause an emotional reaction, and people get all upset, and then they start saying that Redskins is from scalps and all this stuff, and they don't even know what they're talking about.
There's not a single reference to Redskins being scalps. They'll show you these articles, and in the article, and it's incorrect in some of the references, but they're using Redskin as a synonym for American Indian, and there's not a single one that isn't written that way. And I've only seen two they have going around, and there's no reference to where it's cited from, where the article's at.
Right.
But there's no evidence at all that Redskins ever referred to scalp. Even in the citations they give, going see, and no, you don't see, because in it, it's clearly stating Redskin is an Indian, not a scalp.
It's a Red Warrior people.
My favorite one is the one that said, for every Redskin you send to purgatory. Well, in purgatory, then there's like all these, Christians and Muslims, and then just a stack of scalps somewhere in the corner.
Decomposing scalps.
Well, what I don't understand is why, if this is such a derogatory term, why would we have named our something that was derogatory?
Well, that's exactly what I said earlier. Why would we name a school where our Navajo children go that's on the Navajo Nation? They're all Navajos and a few Hopis. All the teachers are Navajos. The principal, the administrators, the school bus drivers, they're all Navajos. It's 300 miles north of where we're sitting here right now. And why would we do that if it was derogatory? So with that being said, we got your back, and I just want you to just confirm one thing for me. The school down the street, where you have the rivalry, the Warriors, right? They're coming after them, aren't they?
They're going to come after everybody. Everybody. Braves, Indians, Chiefs, they're going to, but what he's done is he's put out into the mainstream media that it's the Redskins, and he's picking on a couple of little schools, and that's how he's going to get it passed. But if you read the bill,
that's the
very first section.
That's the typical footprint across the country. We got to let you go because I want to get the mayor on, okay?
Okay.
Hey, I'll call you tomorrow.
Thank you.
And we'll get you on again, Sherry. Thank you so much for your time. We're really glad that you came out tonight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Dan, introduce our next guest. We're running out of time.
Hey, he's the mayor, Dennis Brazil.
That's right. Hey, he's the mayor.
He's the mayor. He's
the mayor of Gustine, and he's on the morning mayor show, so we'll get a little break here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have the mayor of Gustine, California, or this lady that you just heard.
Dennis Brazil.
And so we're getting him in the queue right now.
He's making fun of Brazilians, I think. He needs to change his name.
Oh, yeah, that's racist. Oh, my God. Don't ever go back to
Here we go with that.
Sorry.
Okay.
That was awesome.
I think he's in the queue. Is he in the queue, Kyle? He's in the queue. Dan, introduce the mayor, please.
Mayor Brazil, how are you tonight?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys?
Doing good.
We're honored to have you. Thank you for making time for the real deal.
Oh, you got it. I'm very honored to be on the show, and I want to thank you for all your support and everything you're doing for this.
You know, a lot of politicians, mostly school board members and things like that, have been hesitant to get involved in a lot of the towns we work with. Why are you involved in this, Mayor?
Well, I'm involved in it not only because I'm the mayor of the city of Gustine, but I'm also a citizen of this community. Our kids deserve to have a logo that they're proud of. Our school's 101 years old, and of the 80 years of being the Redskins, I did the research and the homework. I can't find has it ever been misused or abused. This community and this school are so proud of the Redskin name and logo. You'd have to be here to see it and witness it with your own eyes.
I'm coming.
Wow. What kind? Who are the people that are coming out against your town? Is there a lot of people around there who are saying, we don't want this name?
I can tell you honestly, I can't even count them on one hand.
Unbelievable.
The people that are against it.
Unbelievable.
So,
are they Native Americans?
No, they're not.
No. Yeah, exactly. They're all liberals from ASU.
It just bothers me. I mean, it's the second coming of the same Calvary, the same government school, telling these people what's better for them.
Right. Did you happen to listen to our first part of the show, Mayor?
Yes, I've been listening to the whole show.
Good. Well, that's good because we're here to educate, not eradicate.
Absolutely. So I can tell you that this is bad politics at its best.
Oh,
so when you're trying to do something for someone, absolutely, you want to do something for everyone, not someone.
Right.
This AB 30 is for someone.
That's
not for everyone.
Absolutely.
And he's got deep pockets. So
Absolutely. This guy's a billionaire.
You gotta love these state guys because they're the same ones that'll turn to the federal government and say, "Hey, leave us alone. Let us handle it at the state level." But then they'll go into your town and do the same thing the federal government. They're claiming the federal government's doing to them.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this town is 5,500 people.
Right.
They're some of the most proudest people of everything that goes on in this community, especially with our high school. We have a zone it's at the football games called the Red Zone that was started a couple years ago by one of our local students. Check it out on YouTube, the lip dub, the Red Zone. You will be blown away. That'll show you the character of our students in our community in the Gustine School District. It's off the hook.
That's awesome. Heck yeah. So what do they just like show their school spirit at games, or what do they exactly do there?
They're in one section of the stands, and every game they are there supporting the teams, obviously the JV and the varsity football. And by the way, our JV and varsity football team are 5-0 undefeated.
All right. All right.
There you guys. Keep it up.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's hear a little
they're
applause.
Awesome. Yeah.
There it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice. Very nice. I couldn't tell you that this school is so proud to carry the Redskin logo and name that between the Newman Warriors and us, we're the rival schools. And we lost the Redskin totem pole that we have that is beautifully done out of wood for a few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is back in the Gustine Gymnasium because we won the game last year in the last 15 seconds of the game.
Wow.
So the Redskin is in our gymnasium, and we don't plan on leaving for a long time.
There you
go. Way to do it.
No, that's great. I'm coming up there because I have some time to travel now, and I want to come see you, and I'm going over to Tulare, where I've been many times. And I want to meet the people. I want to meet the kids. I want to meet the teachers. But one thing you should do is tell everybody about our show, especially the youth, because these kids are into this social media thing, and they're Twitter and they're Facebooking and they're doing all this stuff. And so they need to like our Facebook, listen to our shows, tell everybody to listen to it, and then they're going to know what a phony civil rights movement this is, and this is just a scam. It's a setup. It's a con job. Because, as I said earlier, they can't pick on the teams, the professional teams, but what they're trying to do is knock you guys off, and I'm talking about all over the country. Delaware, Neshaminy, Pennsylvania, Goshen, Indiana, Lancaster, New York, in California. Knock them off, and then pretty soon we'll have the professional teams on an island, and they're going to go down. And
absolutely.
Thank God you got somebody like Dan Snyder that tells them to go to hell. He ain't changing the name, and because if he goes down, trust me, they're all going down like dominoes. And if
I agree.
And if you've seen those flyers that Eunice or somebody sent us, Dan, where they're having something in the University of Minnesota, and they say it right there. All the mascots. They don't say the Chiefs. They say all the mascots. And that means right down the road from you, your rival school, the Warriors. So Golden State Warriors, you better get off your ass and pay attention to this, because you think it's just going to go away. It's all good. Nope, we have no problems. And you better sit on a couch and smoke a joint and have a glass of wine. That's all I can tell you. But because it's not going away.
Absolutely. I can tell you guys this, that I signed a letter and the city authorized a resolution that I put on the governor's desk in disapproval of AB 30. But the bigger picture about all this, it's not just focused on the Redskins. What about the kids in this school and all these schools that have pride in their logo? We're going to strip that away from them.
That's what they want.
Their souls and their image. This makes no sense whatsoever.
It doesn't.
None. And I'm going to tell you, we're a town of 5,500 people. And if they wanted to see a fight, well, they brought it to the right town, because we're going to fight till the end of this. And if that means it goes all the way to the federal Supreme Court, we'll be the first one standing on the steps.
Imagine this, a politician actually standing up for his people.
Yeah,
not selling out to the billionaires over at the State House, you know. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for that. And if there's anything that you see specifically with our resources that we can do to stand behind you, please do not hesitate to contact us and just keep us updated on what you guys are doing. And thank you so much for what you're doing for the people there.
And just so you know, Mayor, Danny Q works for the Yellow Horse Companies, and that's my companies. And right. he's a director of media. He's a very accomplished journalist. He's worked for many newspapers here in the Valley. He's a graduate from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. He knows the journalism biz, okay? And that's why he works for me. And he's very good at what he does, and we blast out press releases like you wouldn't believe it. And so if you get us something, and Dan and I put our heads together and we feel it's newsworthy, we nail it. And I mean, we got, I don't know, a couple thousand media outlets it goes to, and I mean, it blasts out and it goes all over the world, but it goes to the New York Times, it goes to the Washington Post, the Washington Times.
Not that any of those have been friendly. Yeah. Washington Times has been a good.
Washington Times is good one. We even sent it to the San Francisco Chronicle, and they probably just dump it in the trash. But anyway, we send it out. I mean, we're not afraid to take the gloves off. That's what we do here at The Real Deal. Is we give somebody a platform, and somebody like you that's got the fire in you. We're behind you, and I got the fire in me, and we'll fight this battle together. We won't let up. We won't stop. And let me tell you, I really would like to talk to you off the air. And if you could text me or email me your telephone number. Well, I guess we have
his number. Yeah.
I'll call you in a day or two, and find out when's a good time for you to talk, and then I'll tell you what my strategy is here, because I know what to do. Trust me. Dennis Yellowhorse knows what to do, and the ambassador knows how to do it. So you just gotta. We'll talk about that. And I'll tell you what I intend to do, okay?
Okay, sounds great. I'd like to ask you guys a favor.
Yes,
Do
sir.
homework on me. I'm a small politician in a small town, and I play in the big league, and we're not going to lose this thing. We are not going down because Luis Alejo decided he wanted to put his mark on the Redskins bill and use it for personal gain. It's not going to happen.
Well,
this is about a serious issue, and I'm a serious mayor, and I'm a serious politician, and I'll tell you one more thing. That I am a politician that is for the people. And later on, as time goes by, I will prove that to all you. But all I need to do is help us win this. Whatever I can do and whatever part you could be of it, we're partners. That's what this is all about.
We're honored.
All the way to the end.
We're honored to be a part of this battle with you, Mayor. I'm already voting for you. I may move to California, and we're going to run you for governor over there. But
absolutely,
we're behind you 100%. Keep us updated on everything. You know, keep in contact as much as you deem necessary. Has the council been very supportive of this too?
100% supportive along with all of the community. You know, and there's one more thing. All the listeners out there that are listening right now, that whether they're at the high school level of sports or at the professional level, we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
And if we don't band together and pull together as one, this is how things are done. You become one, and you become the biggest powerhouse there is.
And that's
and
what
we'll roll right over the top of them and never look back.
And that's what I keep telling
I love the way this guy thinks.
That's what I keep telling the teams, show after show. And you guys are listening. When in the goddamn hell are you guys going to wake up? United we stand, divided we fall. Don't you get it? Don't you damn get it? And you guys,
give them Mayor Brazil's cell number. I'll help them.
Yeah, you guys got billion-dollar franchises, and you're sitting there on your ass, and you're letting Dan Snyder take the hit, and you're thinking, oh, it's okay, we're cool. That's BS.
It's not going to work. You got to get with me and the mayor and Dan and the ambassador. You guys got to stay in contact.
I'm serious. I mean, I'm very passionate about this, and I know what to do, and I know how to do it in Indian country. And you're right, and we're on the same page, and we'll fight the fight. But damn it, I mean, these teams should be out here supporting us. I mean, in directly, indirectly, I don't care. You know, it's their name, not mine.
Now, I don't know if this number is true, but I was told that 90% of the American Indians are not in support of this. 90%.
That's bullshit.
Are not in support. Yeah, are not in support.
They're not in support of.
Oh, in support of AB 30.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
And that comes from a. That comes
no,
from
no, no, no. I thought you meant
2004.
They have Halbritter has a fake. What is it, Dan? A fake report that 90% are for the name change.
No, he has a report that said something like 67% were against the name Redskins, and it was. I mean, it comes out of California, actually.
Well, it's done by his people.
It was done by this, crackpot professor, and, the question they're basing it on was the one question where it said, Redskins is a racist or racial name. Well, a lot of people, I don't know, racial and racist don't mean the same thing. Racial just means referring
no, they do not.
to race. And racist, so it should have been 100% by the definition, but so these are the kind of tricks they pull. To this day, what you're referring to is the 2004 Annenberg survey, and it's the only one that has been methodologically done. The rest of them, they cherry pick people. They have people actually, a free response survey where people choose whether or not to participate. Is not legitimate. A survey where they mess around with the language is not legitimate. This was an actual survey that was taken from a scientifically chosen sample, and to this day it's the only one. Probably in the melee of all this, it's a little bit lower than 90%, but from everything, all the other surveys that have come out since then, it's fairly accurate even to this day. So you're right. It was 90%
in favor of keeping the names.
And if you go to anywhere in Indian country, listen, these people know that you buy off, a chairman or you buy off a couple council members of the tribe, then all of a sudden it seems like the whole tribe opposes it. The people at the street level are fans of the Redskins. They're fans of the Chiefs. They're fans of all these teams. And so these little opinions, this National Congress of Indians,
is a joke.
Halbritter's basically bought them. He's actually calling himself their partner. He says that I believe in the speech to the State House.
He did, right?
He's calling them his partner, and that's because he's the one who wrote the biggest check. It's a paid membership organization. And it really doesn't mean a whole lot about representing the people at the street level. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And
there's
I'm so
another
inspired.
side to AB 30 that I think the language was very creatively written.
It was
to have hidden language in there that someone is going to dictate at a later time that is going to have a different effect on all American Indian names that are used in sports.
That's exactly right. That's their hidden agenda.
And it wasn't even hidden. He admitted it out loud during the video. He admits it. He admits that this is strategic. This is a start. That's what Alejo says.
Right.
And
you're right.
And he's sitting there right next to the billionaire dictator of Oneida Nation, who stole the tribe.
And he's not an Oneida. He's not an Indian.
And you know that there was money traded. I know that maybe you can't say that, but I'll tell you straight out that money was traded because that's what Halbritter does. He just did it with the Indian rodeo, the Indian
in Montana.
The Indian National Finals rodeo. He just bought them off because they were being sponsored. They had just asked the Redskins for more than $500,000 to cover half of the year's expenses after the Redskins had already given them $200,000 the year before. And they write a letter to the Redskins saying, hey, we're happy to have you on board and part of our family. And then Halbritter sends one of his henchmen down to them. And a couple days later, they pull out on the Redskins. So this guy knows who to grease, when to grease him. And that's all you're seeing here. Luis Alejo got greased.
He did.
And I know his wife was
lubed up.
And And that's just the bottom line. There's no way around it. He runs the Not Your Mascot. He funds all their stuff. He funds all the court expenses.
All the lawsuits.
All the lawsuits. He's funding them. They say, oh, these lawyers are working pro bono. Those lawyers are standing up there pro bono. All the research, all the travel, everything else that goes into that, those trials is being bankrolled by Halbritter. And we've had confirmation of that from the Redskins legal team who's fighting them there in court and has access to that information. So, this whole thing is a scam at every level. It's a scam. Are there people who've been fooled into believing what the Not Your Mascot crew and Halbritter say? Of course there are. They're fooled because they see what is supposed to be an Indian standing there telling them. But that's not the truth.
Absolutely. Well, this mayor can't be bought. I guarantee that 100%.
Attaboy.
I can tell you this, that Luis Alejo may have friends on the other side of the hill from the San Joaquin Valley of where he's at, but he comes down here into the valley, he's going to find out what the real deal is all about.
Nice.
And these people here in the valley, they don't like him.
Well, I don't blame them.
Well, look, Mr. Mayor, we've gone over time, and we're so honored to have you. Would you come on the show again one of these days?
Absolutely. Anytime you want me on, I'll be there. I guarantee it.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for having me on. Have a great evening.
Be sure and share with everybody and anybody that about the real deal on the Star Worldwide.
You got it. Thank you, guys. And by the way, losing is not an option for this. We're going to win.
That's right.
Nice.
Stay beast mode.
That's right.
Man, this guy has fire in his veins. I love it.
I love it too. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. We got to rock. We got to roll. I just want to give the private office of Governor Jerry Brown. I want to put the phone number on the air, and I'd appreciate it if you guys could call out.
And that number is 916-445-2841. Again, that's 916-445-2841.
Call in there, and you got to listen. They'll say, well, give this extension and do this, and just hang in there. And pretty soon, a real person will come on the line and then just tell them how you feel. There's also, they have a website that Dan went on.
We did this. They have on the governor's office website. You can send in email, but do both.
Yeah,
Let's
do
give
both.
them hell. We did it to Boehner. There still hasn't been any announcement of what came out of that meeting with Halbritter because nothing came out of it because we had people calling. Now, at the time, he was planning on running again. Since then,
we had thousands of real dealers.
He's resigning, but
we had thousands of real dealers calling Boehner's personal assistant, chief of staff, Ryan Day, and it worked. And so this will work, but email, just go on the phones. Let's shake things up. I got a lot of stuff working in the background. Dan, why don't you tell everybody and our new listeners how they can support The Real Deal, if you would, please, sir?
Contact us.
Yeah.
You can contact me, Danny Q, at yellowhorse.us. You can contact the ambassador directly at info@yellowhorse.us. And you can contact the Beast at the Beast.
Yeah.
At yellowhorse.us. and
our GoFundMe. We don't have that anymore?
We don't have that anymore. We shut it down.
Oh, did we?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, just contact us, and privately, publicly, just keep us on the air because we're here for you. We're not interested in getting rich off of this show. I'm just interested in staying on the air and keep spreading the truth. And I tell you, when I was a little kid, my dad told me something. He said, son, I want to tell you something. He says, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. And I've been a winner all my life, and I'm not about to stop now. And I got the ball, and I'm headed down the field. So we're glad to be back, and we'll be back next week. And with that being said, I guess we're all wrapped up here, aren't we, gentlemen?
We're golden.
Okay.
No French fries still, guys. Stay away from them.
Dan, are we all done?
Just waiting for Kyle to tell everybody
Kyle,
while we're here.
Why don't you just tell everybody in the country why the ambassador, Danny Q, and Mark the Beast is here.
To kick ass and save names, Ambassador.
You got it.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for listening to The Real Deal. Tune in to The Real Deal with the Ambassador and Danny Q every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on demand 24/7 right here on Star Worldwide Networks.